Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday night edition of Trinny TV. And today I'm really excited because we have joining us Rosemary Ferguson. And Rosemary helped me to get off sugar. It's something that I have just struggled with for so many years. I still am taking the tiniest bit of chocolate every few nights, like this small. But I was having such vast quantities of sugar before, and I really felt the inflammation in my body. So I'm just going to see now that she's on, and we're going to have her join us. We've had a lot of questions come through, and Jemima, say hi, Jemima.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Jemima is on the phone to take your questions as well, to give to Rosemary. And hopefully, by listening to her, we can get inspiration for recipes, for what we can do, for why it's not a good thing for us to take, how we can do things in moderation. Percy pigs, yes. We have a Percy pig addiction in our office. So we can talk about Percy pigs sweet, sold by Marks and Spencer's, which is really unbelievably delicious. And maybe Rosemary will know what Percy pigs are, Rosemary.
Hi there.
Let's start that conversation. How bad are Percy pigs for us?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they're just sugar, aren't they? So, and I think they're good for the soul sometimes. Plus, but the only thing that's really weird about lots of sweets, I always find weird, is that they're not vegetarian.
I know, and they're not, and
that's really weird.
All that sort of, yes, and for vegetarians, they are careful because they now have vegan Percy pigs.
They do. I love that.
Vegan Percy pigs for my office, so yeah. I know they exist. But if I have to think what's the most sustainable sweet in our office, it would be that.
And the other thing that I don't understand, I do get, but Haribos and things like that, they like eating bits of rubber.
Yes, I know, but they might be for you because your body might be a temple, but for the sort of lowly guys like us, where we are sort of, I grew up, Rosemary, on not being hardly allowed sweets because I went to a boarding school from a very young age, and it made me have a craving for sugar. I was literally allowed 2 sweets on a Wednesday and 4 on a Saturday. And if I misbehaved, they were taken away for the term. So it made me obsessed. I was the drug dealer of sweets at my boarding school. Okay. So I've had this very intense, I'm 4 sugars in my tea a day girl. I'm double vanilla syrup at Starbucks or a coffee shop. That's me. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I'm no angel. I am absolutely, if there are biscuits or chocolate around, I eat it.
Okay.
No, I don't have it around. It's not because I'm an angel. I just don't have it.
Now, Rosemary, just to introduce you to the audience, because you did approach me through Teresa Tomei and say, do you want to do the 7-day plan, which I did with you. And I found it an amazing plan. So when we're all out of this life that we're living today, I couldn't recommend it more thoroughly because it didn't make me have to think. And to spend a week where I didn't have to think about what I was 5 days, or where I didn't have to think about what I was eating, but to get me on a better direction was inspiring. I'd never done it before. But tell me something. You have a lot of clients you see who have obviously different issues, but we also, you know, and in your role as a nutritionist, you do give advice on many aspects of how we eat. We've got lots of questions as well, Rosemary, because we said it's about sugar. But do you want to just kick us off with what does sugar do to the body?
So sugar, and we have to remember that sugar actually isn't bad on its own. We need glucose for the brain to work. Yeah, it's really crucial for something. It's just the amount of sugar we have now in everything. Like it's the hit, you know, it's, I mean, obviously it's in sweets and chocolate and cookies, but it's also now in food that you wouldn't even expect. You know, if you buy ready-made pasta sauces or, I mean, I was laughing because I did a sugar-free January, and there are these chickpea crisps, and it's in those, and you're like, why? Anyway, you know, so that's part of the problem. So really, so when you have sugar, it creates an insulin response in your body, which is fine. But if you're triggering that insulin response every minute of every day, it then goes on to create inflammation in the body, and you're in this heightened state of insulin response, and then you become resistant to it, and then you start putting on weight, and then you know, and it leads, and then you end up with type 2 diabetes in the, you know, extreme cases. But basically also you're making your body more acidic, so therefore disease gets to go mental. You know, disease thrives in an acidic environment. So but it's really like the insulin response that, and I think people would start really understanding how bad it is for your insulin to be triggered all the time. Really, you want your insulin to come in, deal with the sugar, and go back down. and then another meal comes along and it comes up. And the problem is that because we snack a lot, and there's sugar in everything, our insulin response is always triggered. It's always up here. And then this is what causes metabolic problems later on.
So if we are considering, and there's people, I'm just getting Jemima back because she was lost, but there's a lot of people. Oh, there she is, probably trying to call me. But I just think that if we were going to start on some kind of journey of what are the worst sugars that we should try and reduce first? What are the worst ones?
Well, I suppose any refined sugar. So, you know, anything.
Imagine we're really stupid, Rosemary. What do you mean by refined sugar? Just spell it out for us.
So anything that like white sugar, you know, that sort of really white. So, you know, so actually cups of tea with sugar in it is a place where I often start, because actually that four spoonfuls of sugar, reduce it to 3, then you reduce it to 2, because actually that sugar is something that you could really live without. You know, and so refined sugar is something that burns really fast in the body. It, you know, think about it, if you drink a can of Coca-Cola, that is like however many teaspoons of sugar going straight into your bloodstream. Insulin goes pew, shooting up. Whereas if you had a bowl of porridge, it's a slow burning sugar. It's got fiber in it. It takes a long time for it's called a complex carb. Something like brown rice is a complex carb. It means that it's complicated for the body to break down, so therefore is slower. So you don't get this huge sugar spike and then slump.
Now, what if we replaced the sugar with stevia or something like that? Is that going to do the same thing to our system or not?
No, so stevia is actually okay because it doesn't create an insulin response. But there are things, you know, that, I mean, things like coconut sugar still do create, you know, and agave syrup, and I mean, date syrup is actually one of the slower burners, but they are all sugar. They're all, you know, and I know that people are trying to do the right thing, but sugar is sugar. And it will all, and what, you know, and if you do.
What about honey? People, just because they're saying here.
Honey, but you know, the other thing actually, so honey will still create an insulin response, but I think then you have to look at the quality of what you're eating. So in honey and all the agave syrups and all that, there are more minerals in them. So you do get benefits along with, you know, so it's not just like eating a teaspoon of white sugar, which has got 0 other than glucose.
Okay. What about palm sugar? Does that have a little benefit?
It has a few extra minerals in it.
Okay, but still what you're saying is you're still putting something in your body that inflames your body to an extent far greater.
If you are overloading your body with it, it will create an inflammation.
Somebody's just eating their way through a box of after eights. I'm so with you on the after eights.
I love an after eight.
I mean, that is like, you know, when you have your secret tipple, for me it's after eights, it's Halo chocolate bars, it's all these things. But it's like when we really enjoy something, Rosemary, it's like when you've had enough of smoking, you give it up. When you still love it, you can't. How can we then, if, you know, I was speaking a few nights ago with a woman in New York, Dr. Erica Schwartz, who is a hormone specialist, and you know, we were talking about HRT and things, and she was saying, you know, the thing I ask any menopausal, and we will have a lot of women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s watching this, by the way, just to give you a sort of age consensus, and younger and older, but just there's a heartland. But, you know, the way that we think HRT, that's going to, you know, it's something to keep us young, and some people think, well, I'll just grow old gracefully. And her point was this one that, you know, you want your body to not get sick from things. And HRT will help in that, reducing sugar. You know, I have friends of mine in the States who are biochemists, and they just say sugar is a killer. You know, it's heart disease, it's diabetes, it's Alzheimer's, it's all these things which we might be nervous of and think, I don't want to get to that stage when I'm older. I'd like to be that fit, healthy woman who age 100 just drops down dead. All right. And I know that it's weird to look forward to how well do you want to be when you're that age, but I want to have that feeling I'm in control of my body. It's not in control of me. So it's what messages can we tell ourselves to think, actually, instead of like, well, let me just munch my after eights, which we can all do, or sit on the sofa and have lots of packets of chocolate. This is, to me, not just a weight thing. This is a life health thing. Well,
I have to say that so for example, they call Alzheimer's diabetes type 3 in my world.
Do they really?
Yes, because it's all to do with your insulin, and your insulin is what is triggered by sugar. And so the inflammation that is the knock-on from that is absolutely right. It is a killer. If you eat, and the amount of sugar we eat is so bad. It's, you know, even when you're trying not to eat sugar, you eat, you know.
Yeah.
And then what else? Because the thing also is actually about living longer. Someone said to me the other day, do you do what you do because you want to live forever? And I said, no, I do what I do because I want to live well for longer. And actually the thing is, that's, I think, what the goal is. So everybody, you can live to 80, but do you want to be on medication from the age of 40? Or do you want to be fine until you're 80 and you drop dead at 100? Exactly.
Yeah.
So the thing about sugar is we just eat far too much of it. And also the other thing to remember is that if you're really struggling and you have really strong sugar cravings, it might be driven by something our little friend Candida. So yeast overgrowth.
Okay, tell us about our little friend Candida.
Our little friend Candida is is really around. Lots and lots of people have it and they don't know. You don't have to have thrush to have Candida. And it loves, oh my God, it really loves sugar. And sometimes when I see people, I'm like, how bad is your craving? They're like, oh my God, I absolutely just am powerless with sugar. Yeah. And then we deal with Candida and then that craving goes.
Yeah.
So really have a think about actually, do I feel lethargic? Do I have joint pain? All of those symptoms of, even having a cough can be a Candida sign. So, rule that out. And then maybe that's a sugar driver.
Okay, so tell me then what things we can begin to do, because I think we want to have some action, some solutions here.
Right. So there are certain things that you can do, which is make sure you don't get hungry. One of the biggest triggers for a sugar binge is because you've left it too late and you're starving, and then you don't have time to make something wholesome. You just go, oh, okay, I'm going to have the packet of biscuits. So that's one thing I find really useful for people is because what people do is they think, oh, I won't eat anything. I'll be really good. I'll be really good. I'll be really good. And then they get to the point and then they're like, I'm starving. And it's like, eat whatever they can get. So that's one thing. But the other thing is make sure you are eating slow burning fuel so you're not hungry. And when things like snacking on, I find hummus is a constant. And I know it sounds very uninspiring and everything, but it's a really good one. Just if you're feeling peckish, go to the fridge, have that. It's got a bit of protein, lots of fiber. You can have it with an oat cake if you need that carbine. It's about switching stuff out. The cups of tea, get rid of a couple of, start with less sugar in your tea. There are things like
can you combine? Sorry, I'm going to ask this because a lot of people I want to talk about fruit. Somebody's saying, bananas okay. But is there something about combining when you have that kind of sugar with a protein that it's better for your body, or is it just still?
Yeah, so the reason to have it with protein is to slow its absorption into the bloodstream down. So, and that's the thing about juices. People talk about juices a lot and like, oh, juice is really high in sugar. You have taken all the fibre out. So actually when you drink a juice, it hits your bloodstream really fast. Mm-hmm. So have it with, if you're going to have like a carrot because carrot's quite high in sugar, if you're going to have a carrot and beetroot juice, have it with your cereal or have it with an egg or, just don't have it on an empty stomach because it will just get absorbed really fast. But it is better to eat it with a protein because it slows absorption down.
Okay. And that's so when we're going to be eating sugar with a protein's better, healthy sugar.
Exactly. And actually I can see lots of people asking about fruit. I see so many people in my clinic who have given up fruit and they're really pleased that they're like, I don't eat fruit.
But I just can't imagine giving up fruit.
It makes me want to cry.
Why are they giving up? We won't even ask why your mad patients are giving up fruit, but it's just that.
But because of the sugar, because people, there's this whole thing about, it's got sugar. So no, eat fruit. It's got so much going for it. It's like full of antioxidants and polyphenols and vitamins.
Okay, those are your extreme patients. I think you're dealing with a lower common denominator here, which is the glass of wine. All right, let's just talk through, because I think another thing with the lifestyle that we are having now, people are at home. Their sense of timings of when you do something, or, it could be that people who didn't go out much are now going out every night on house party and they have a drink with their friends, because we want to be removed slightly from the sort of, the incredibly trying circumstances that we're finding ourselves in. So I think probably more people might be drinking more.
Yes.
And that is a sugar, but that is a release for some people. So how do you talk to people where their sugar is a glass of wine?
Well, so I think there has to be balance. I totally think there has to be balance, and some things are good for the soul. So, you know, and actually, you know, I also see, I do have people in my clinic who are quite extreme, but, you know, who are really stressed out because they're trying to do the right thing. And actually they're triggering a stress response rather than just going, oh my God, have a glass of wine and relax. Because actually that's really important too. So I suppose it's like anything, you know, a couple of glasses of wine is good for the soul. And at the moment, I think probably really necessary.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, if you're one of those people who's getting fat around the middle, alcohol is often one of the biggest contributors to that.
Yeah, I think especially for the kind of, you know, a woman who is perimenopausal or menopausal, and already that the weight distribution is different, and they kind of think, oh, my waist has gone for life. But you know, there is, to me, an element always when I'm talking with a woman like that, that it could be, you know, I have family members who might say to me, you know, I stopped drinking and I got my waist back.
Yes.
You know, I think it does sit on the most obvious places.
It does, unfortunately. It does. And wine is particularly bad for it, just because it's, you know, I think people drink more of it. You know, it's not like you're going to sit down and have a tequila shot when you get home.
WJM53, yes, I'm more of a wino during quarantine. I get, honey, what that is. Can I ask somebody, Katie's saying, is no carb diet bad then? Because she's doing it.
What, like, it's a ketogenic diet? So no carb diet. I think a low, high fat, low carb is a really good way to go. I think it's the healthiest way. We do eat too much carbohydrate in our world in general. I think we are a very carby society, like toast, pasta, you know. Yeah. And I think reducing carbs can make us quite sluggish. And so eating a higher fat, higher protein diet, good fat, obviously, is the way to go. I think you do need, I don't think you should be scared of carbohydrate. We need them.
Yeah,
you know, but you can get enough carbohydrate from vegetables. It's not like you need to be eating a huge bowl of pasta to get it. But people are scared of carbs, and they shouldn't be. They should just, you know, I think if you are trying to do a low carb, then have a bowl of porridge in the morning, and then leave the carbs for the rest of the day.
Okay, so have them earlier in the day. And
if it's a weight thing,
protein. Yeah. Okay. Intermittent fasting. Do you recommend that?
I do. I think you have to find out what works for you. So for example, I'm absolutely awful at missing breakfast. Awful. Yeah. But what I do, my intermittent fast is I do 1 day a week. I do a liquid day. So I do, you know, like smoothie, juice, soup sort of thing during the day. Yeah. I think intermittent fasting is really good for you to do intermittent fasting. It's a great way to rest your gut. It's it's a really good thing to do. If you can do it, you just need to find what suits you. Is it like 16-8? Is it doing 5-2 the day things? Or you know, that's what.
I mean, I did that with you because I noticed in the arc of what you gave me to eat. And you know what, Rosemary, I'd love it if you could share some of those recipes with us, because for those people, I'm not a cook, but some of those things that you made or were made in your kitchens were unbelievably delicious. And even though I felt the portions were quite small, I think what happened to me in those 5 days is I got some of my taste buds back, and I got that, you know, whereas before I needed so much sugar to taste something like with salt and pepper, but I find now that, you know, I have blueberries and they taste really sweet. Whereas before, to me, blueberries were bitter, you know, so I find that very interesting that in the space of 3 weeks, I mean, I still have every night a half of a mini Halo bar. That's that's my delight. Yeah. But I don't have any sweet drinks anymore. I've cut out my favorite white peach tea, and I have nettle tea with my, you know, I did learn many years ago, have a herbal tea when you eat, don't drink lots of stuff when you eat. So things like that. And I have, you know, I didn't need to lose weight. No. I have to say, I think I've lost, you know, 5 pounds, but because all my summer clothes fit that I've been trying my wardrobe, but I feel far less sluggish, and I feel far less of what you said at the beginning of those highs and lows. So
more constant energy.
Yeah. And I think that I would also, I'd love your opinion on this, but I think sugar and our imbalance with sugar can contribute to feelings of depression. And I think we have to be really careful. You know, there are some people who are sitting at home feeling a bit lower than normal.
Yeah. Well, I think also, just going back to your taste buds, it takes 2 weeks for your taste buds to change. Yeah. So for people who are coming off sugar, you just got to hang in there for 2 weeks, because your taste buds do change after 5 days. They will change. If you're not eating that stuff, if you're not fueling that fire, they do change. And eventually you're like, oh, I don't really want that, actually. I feel like an avocado.
Yeah.
It does happen, I promise. It's not,
yeah.
But for people, so the thing about a mood, and I have yet to meet somebody who doesn't eat emotionally at some point or another.
Yeah.
And the problem that we have, I think, is that, you know, when you're feeling bad, it's not like you go, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll make myself a green salad and make myself feel better. You go, I'm going to eat the pizza and the heroes. And we go like this, don't we? So the only way to stop it, in my experience and what I tell people in clinic, is it's a small step. Just gently do something good. Just make one good decision. Make one, you know, like go, actually, do you know what? I'm going to have an apple. And then you start to feel a bit more positive. And then that positivity leads you on to doing something else positive. And do you know what I mean? So if you are stuck at home at the moment, and, you know, you can definitely go on the crashing down, or you can just put the brakes on a little bit and go, actually, do you know what? I'm going to do something nice for myself today. I'm going to make it, you know. And then those little steps tend to start leading you back to, you know, big changes.
Yeah. I just want to say, somebody said, why aren't we dealing with a registered nutritionist, which you are, Rosemary. So I just want to say that you are a registered nutritionist with many years experience in nutrition.
Yes, I am.
How can we know the hidden sugars in food? Could you do us a favor? Because we'll put this up on YouTube and everywhere, but could you make for us a list of the kind of hidden sugars in food?
Yes.
Because I think that lots of people always love lists at the end of my chats with people.
Yes. And I can put down like a little bit of a protocol of things like, so chromium is a brilliant mineral that we don't have enough probably. And it's amazing for sugar cravings. Cinnamon is brilliant for sugar cravings. Yeah. So I'll put a list of that. That would be
great. I take trichronium, which I've been doing for a while. Let's talk, I mean, we're going slightly off course because this is just nutrition now, but you know, a few people are saying I've been off sugar for Lent and this is encouraging me to keep it for longer. Great information. Thank you. Just to, and also intermittent fasting. There's quite a few people saying they're doing it. And somebody's saying sweets are often substitute for something else. Yes. Apple cider vinegar, people want to say, is that good or not? I mean, love your opinion on it.
Apple cider vinegar is great. It's a brilliant thing to do in the morning. It's really good. It stimulates your bile, so it helps the sort of the juices in your gut, basically. So I'm a big fan of apple cider vinegar.
Rosemary, what's your Instagram?
At Rosemary Ferguson _.
Okay, fantastic. That's lovely. So I think if you have nut allergies, what can be substituted? Seeds. That's quite a, what?
Seeds. Like sunflower.
Thank you very much.
Seeds is a really good one to substitute.
And Nina's just saying that she says you look very beautiful. To-do list travel, drink a lot of water throughout the day. That's very good. Jemima.
Hi.
You're still there, darling. I'm so sorry. We've just been nattering away. You've got questions there that people left earlier, so it would be just good to get some of those in.
Yeah, no, it's great. So Matilda says, how do I give up sugar long term? I last for about 5 days and then I binge. How can I get more control over this?
Yeah, it's a very good question.
Yeah, so this is the problem, isn't it? It's that sort of all or nothing. So you need to find something. So this is where fruit's really good. Because as you say, blueberry suddenly tastes really fantastic and sweet. So actually, it's having that alternative. So rather than having no alternative and then ending up in the corner shop, have an alternative. And, you know, things like fruit and berries in particular are really good for that because you can pick at them. And actually, you know, and grapes actually, you know, they've all got sugar in them, but it's a much, you know, it's good for you.
And what other things, like some people like apple with peanut butter or almond? Yes. You know, I started to buy after I did my 5 days with you, I bought some cashew butter and some almond butter.
Yes. So they're really good. So I was going to say nuts, but I think people are sick of hearing you saying you should snack on nuts. But nut butter, nut butter is really brilliant to have with an apple. It's a really lovely snack. So that, and also because it's got good fat, so then it sort of dulls the sugar craving.
Yeah.
But also, again, I would love everybody to really have a think about Candida because it's really common. In my clinic, I see it all the time. Yeah. And then you can blame the Candida for the sugar cravings.
Okay. I've got a lovely lady here, Lainey. I lost 5 stone. My own diet reversed my type 2 diabetes. Look up how diabetics eat. Is sugar related to headaches? Can be. Yeah,
so people have, I tell you what, withdrawal headaches are worse from caffeine and sugar. Is a really big one. So when you're coming off sugar, it can be really actually physically unpleasant. But, you know, just hang in there. It doesn't last for long. The headache's quite intense and it will pass. Drink loads of water because basically, you know, and drink loads of water. And also you want to be making sure you're eating lots of fibrous things because it helps to remove stuff from the body. Yeah. So, you know, so lots of fruit and veg, lots of whole grains.
Somebody's saying, Laura's saying, what about children? Tips for lifting children snacks out of the sugar pit. which I mean, I have my child on the sofa in the next room. She does hover between, you know, she likes her hummus and carrots because she got that as a kid.
Yeah.
And then she did develop, you know, she does have a, you know, she'll have some cereal packets and some chocolate chip cookies down the side of the sofa all day long. I mean, you know, what does one do really?
Well, it's interesting. The hummus thing is interesting because I when I put it out, it goes. You know, I put it out with some sugar snaps or some carrot or whatever. It always gets eaten, and then you sort of don't do it for a few days, and you're like, oh, that's so silly. I must remember, you know, just to have it there, and then that's what they can eat. I mean, the sugars, the snacking, the healthy snacks you can buy are full of sugar. It's really, really frustrating. I think, you know, that one of the things that I'm quite a big fan of is just a good old fashioned flapjack. You know, like
flapjack. You could have a recipe for a good old fashioned flapjack.
Yes, I will put one up because I put in sort of pumpkin seeds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know, I use oil or butter, whichever you want, and I do use, and you know, you have to use a sweet syrupy type thing, not syrup. What do we use? Coconut sugar and maple syrup, I think is what's in the recipe. But it's just, you know, I mean, if they're going to have a snack, I'd rather know exactly what's in it. So
yeah, I think that's very good. It's a nice opportunity to make things that smell nice in the kitchen. The kids come in because they're hungry, and you introduce them when they're hungry, perhaps.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Apple cider vinegar. Somebody's saying, is it good in a tablet form? I've actually just got it now in a tablet form, and I'm taking it to see what it's like. I got it from, I can't remember where, maybe from Victoria Health, but I might have got it somewhere else. But any thoughts on that?
So taking apple cider vinegar, the taste of it, the bitterness of the liquid is what stimulates the gallbladder because it's bitter. So if you're doing it for that, then you need to take the liquid. If you're taking apple cider vinegar just for the health of your, you know, because it's prebiotic, so, you know, helping the bacteria in your gut, then a capsule's fine. Okay,
and this is a big question from Linda Kennedy. How do you rid your body of Candida?
Well, Candida, the Candida protocol, I can get, Candida, who doesn't? I can, it's basically, I mean, depending how extensive the Candida is, you have to remove all sugar, all yeast and things like that for 3 weeks. And then I usually use another yeast called Saccharomyces boulardii, which comes in and it sort of takes up the space that the Candida is taking, and then it goes, do you know what I mean? It competes for the space the Candida in, and it wins. So therefore the Candida then dies off. But you have to, it's really about, a Candida diet it's a very strict no sugar to feed. So then there's nothing for it to feed on, basically. And that includes wine.
Somebody's asking something here, and I kind of identify Mandy Dupree as saying, I have a burning tongue too. It's maddening. I mean, I have to say, whenever my tongue burns more, it's because I've got too much acid in me. Is that a indication, or is that something else, or is it just
a burning tongue?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because Mandy's not going into the details, and she was agreeing with somebody, so it could be we're going off on a tangent there, Rosemary. But any thoughts on that?
Well, is it from? I was wondering if it's from ulcers, because if it's burning from like inflammation and like swelling, then that would be it. That's inflammation. That's something that I would imagine that's to do with something a bit deeper, you know, going on. Like, is that because something's irritating it, or? I don't know. That's kind of a hard one without knowing more about it.
That's fine. We don't have the information. Something else it's good to have your opinion on, because I've been sharing this conversation with a few people, is the benefits of having baking soda as a way to alkalize your body. And I was reading up a lot on it last night because I had this conversation with Dr. Erica in America a couple of days ago, and she was saying everyone must do this. But don't do it when you eat, because, you know, I spoke to Shabir from Victoria Health, and he said, yes, Trinny, it could be good, but don't do it when you eat, because otherwise you can't digest your food. But at other times when your stomach is empty, it can have a benefit. What are your thoughts on baking soda?
So I absolutely agree. Do not have it when you're trying to eat. You would reduce your stomach acid, and then the stomach acid isn't strong enough to digest the food. So, you know, it's basically, you're basically reducing the fire in your gut. I think alkalining your body, you do it through your diet. I'm like, if you eat a whole grain, you know, if you eat most of the time, obviously, you know, there definitely has to be room for whatever your vices are, and just a bit of love and life, and, you know. But I think if you're eating, you know, like a high veg, high fruit diet, you'll be alkalizing your body enough. But,
and somebody's saying, how about weight loss living in quarantine? I mean, I think it's just about when we finish quarantine, how do we want to come out of it with our body? I think that's a bigger question for women to ask themselves and men to ask themselves is, do you want to feel you come out sluggish and weighed down by eating on boredom, frustration, panic and feelings, or taking this? I mean, I see this, Rosemary, as a time I can take to be fit, feed my body with whatever we can get in the supermarket, but nurture my body, because I'm in one place at one time. I have a facility of a kitchen on hand 24/7. Yeah. I'm not running around town without enough time to eat. You know, it's like there couldn't be a better time to actually eat healthily if you can, you know, getting the right food. But what are your thoughts on? Well,
I've had two different extremes of clients. One is that exactly what you're saying, like, oh great, I'm going to get really fit, I'm going to get really into healthy cooking. The other is I'm going to eat everything and drink everything because I'm bored and I've got nothing else to do. And so a bit of self-discipline, I think, has to come in at some point, because you don't want to come out at the end of this feeling, like you say, sluggish and lethargic. Yeah. And it's a really great time. It's been lovely, actually, because I've been putting recipes up for people. And the amount of people going, oh my God, because people don't normally, as you say, have the time to cook. Yeah. And so people are really enjoying cooking. And I think the thing is, weirdly, everyone's going on about how little food there is in the supermarket, but everybody's eating more than they ever eat because they are at home. Yeah. So I think it's just, I think you have to just have a bit of self-discipline, really, about it.
Can we just go back, because we get people, Rosemary, who join at different stages of this conversation, and there's a lot of questions. I don't know, Jemima, if you've been seeing this about Candida. So can we just talk again how, you know, what the symptoms generally are and how you can treat it and how you can know if you've got it?
Yes. So to know definitely if you have it, you can do, there's a test you can do. You can either do a urine test, you can do a blood test. But I mean, the symptoms are things like, well, obviously it's thrush, you know, so a yeast infection, but that's only in 25% of people who have Candida. So if the other symptoms would be fatigue, if you're just generally fatigued, one of the big ones is sugar craving, an overwhelming craving for sugar. Okay. You know, like, I've got to have sugar. So that would be something that would be a real red flag for this. And fatigue is a big one. And you can get joint pain. And I had a lady who thought she had emphysema and she'd been tested for lung cancer and everything. And I said, I think you know, so if you've got like sort of, because it's that yeast, and it's sort of like, if you imagine a yeast in your lungs, it makes you, you know, it's sort of like a, so she basically had Candida, that's what it was. So that's a symptom that you should look for as well.
Okay, great. I just want to say to everyone, we will be saving this and we will put it up on YouTube, and we'll put it again probably on the main feed in the next couple of weeks. But we'll save it, don't worry. A lot of people talking about turmeric, and I want to ask your thoughts on this. I have my thoughts, but for me, I love turmeric normally, but right now I'm not taking it. And the reason I'm not taking it is the same reason when I look at ibuprofen and things that reduce inflammation. Because if I'm using something like that to reduce inflammation, I just found, somebody told me it was counterintuitive to Corona being around and things. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Rosemary.
Well, I suppose, I don't know. I haven't heard that. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it, because no. And also the lovely thing about things like turmeric and herbs and spices are that they are less aggressive than something like ibuprofen, and they tend to work with your body rather than like, you know, like, you know, where ibuprofen will trick your body basically into putting out anti-inflammatory markers and things. Turmeric just works with the body to keep it working well. So I would keep, I mean, I'm a big fan of turmeric. I think it's a really nice thing to be taking.
Rosemary, can men have Candida?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
And there's another thing, actually, I should say, it's something, a white coating on your tongue is a Candida sign. Okay. Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's nice and pink. Yeah.
I thought it was quite white. I mean, we definitely know, Claire, and we're saying no ibuprofen time Corona. I just know that's to be true. Just to reiterate that. And I think that, you know, generally I know I love turmeric, because what I found now, and I said this, I think I said this at the beginning of this thing or yesterday, I've been doing a few live Trinny tellies, but when I have sugar now, I feel my ankles swell. That's how much people love this. This is a good one to get people off sugar. It's for every molecule of sugar, you take 2 molecules of water. So when you feel a bit puffy, you know, if you've had like a sugar craze and then you feel puffy, it's because you are holding 2 molecules of water to the 1 molecule of, so you basically, it helps you retain water basically. So so water retention, a big driver of that is sugar.
Yes.
Can we talk about dark chocolate? So I take the Halo bar, which I think is about 70% dark chocolate. I don't know. What do you think is the healthiest kind of chocolate if you're going to eat it? And
dark chocolate. Yeah, dark chocolate is. Dark chocolate. Although, yes, the other day we did do a double-decker Easter egg and ate the whole thing. My family, we were like, oh, yay, it's quarantine, let's buy Easter eggs. But dark chocolate is definitely the best. Dark chocolate has lovely things like resveratrol in it, which is an antioxidant, so it's got good things in it. Yeah. And again, you know, good for the soul. I think, dark chocolate is definitely the best. The darker, the better.
Okay. Jemima, we got 3 more minutes. Yeah.
Leslie says, how do I quit sugar if I've got a low blood sugar to begin with?
Oh, okay. Low blood sugar levels, yeah.
Well, I tell you what, if you've got low blood sugar levels, you definitely don't want to be eating lots of high refined sugar things, because it will cause your blood levels will be going up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay. You want a slow burning. Make sure that you're well fueled. So things like porridge, you know, brown rice, all those whole grains, lots of nuts would be really good here. You know, make sure that you're well fueled and you don't run out of fuel and then eat really sugary stuff, which will just make the problem much worse.
Yeah. Somebody's saying take an avocado with you when traveling. I am known to take on long haul flights 5 avocados, unless I'm going to Australia, but I have to eat them all before I get there. Tell me something, for those people who are sitting here watching thinking, I'm not going to give up my booze. What are because I have a girlfriend of mine who's got the best figure in the world and she just drinks tequila. All right. So, I mean, if somebody has their tipple, but they're prepared to change their tipple, but still want a tipple every night. Yes. What would you suggest? Because somebody else said tonic water has as much sugar in it as Coca-Cola. Yeah.
Well, that's where the vodka, lime and soda comes in, isn't it? Because that's probably the classic, and that's why it's called a skinny bitch, isn't it? Because it's like, you know, it's the lowest in sugar, and then even the lime has a bit of an alkalizing effect. It's soda water, so it's hydrating a bit. You know, so that's quite a good one, I suppose. It's a classic, but it works.
Okay, all right. Any more, Jemima, burning desires?
Yeah, one lady says, when you're on your period and you really want sugar, what can you eat instead?
Well, again, it's about having different things in the cupboard. So it's about, you know, having things like nuts. I keep saying nuts, but you know, or crudité or fruit would be really good. But when it's just about having changing up what you have available. There are so many healthy options out there that you just have to change what you buy.
Yeah. So somebody's saying Slimline tonic has no sugar. I think it has saccharin in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but also the Slimlines and the diets and all those things have got lots of weird chemicals in them to make them taste the same as the ones with sugar. And actually, if you're going to have a Coca-Cola, I'd rather you drink a real Coca-Cola, because your body understands glucose. It does not understand all the stuff that is in Diet Coke. You know?
Really? Yeah. I mean, I always have full fat, I call it.
Have full fat, exactly.
Zero. Yeah, I do have full fat.
Yeah, if you're going to have it, have the real thing, because the body understands those ingredients.
Yeah. Tell me about dried fruit.
Oh, you see, dried fruit. I love dried fruit, but it is really high. The thing is that when it's dried out, it really concentrates the sugars. So it's high in sugar, but it does still have fibre. So, you know, and let's get realistic here. It's better than eating a whole box of Skittles. Isn't it? You know?
Or Peppa Pigs, as we started our conversation.
You know? So you have to be realistic and not be too hard on yourself and kind of go, okay, I'm going to make changes here. And, you know, because the thing is, if you restrict, you will absolutely bounce straight back into Haribo world.
Yeah. Rosemary, it's been such a pleasure having you on. And Rosemary Ferguson, renowned nutritionist and full of good advice. I want to just say that you're going to promise to us, because Jemima's going to chase you up, that you'll send us your flapjack recipe. Yes. What are the really high sugars we should be avoiding? Yeah. And it would be just wonderful to have a few snack options and 1 or 2 of your fantastic recipes. Rosemary has written a really good juice book. I think you're in the middle of hopefully writing another book on 5-day plans, which we can't wait. Do let us know when it comes out.
I will.
And it was a joy to talk to you.
It was lovely to talk to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed that, ladies. I really did. Did you enjoy that, Jemima?
I loved that.
Yeah, I mean,
I learned so much.
Yeah, I did learn so much too. And Rosemary, just so you know, she'd never admit this herself, but she is a brilliant registered qualified nutritionist. She has her own clinic in London, and she's been, you know, looking after some very fabulous looking bodies in the public eye, but also, you know, men and women in the street who have issues around Candida, around wanting to eat a healthy life. So thank you so much. Tomorrow we've got, Jemima, what have we got on Trinny TV tomorrow?
Loads of stuff. We've got your workout with Natalie.
Yeah, workout with Natalie at 8 o'clock. And we're doing tummies tomorrow. So if you want to join me, tummies at 8 a.m. Just focusing on that, only 30 minutes, put it in your diary, get up, have that focus, feel you've done even half an hour is going to get you off the sofa and out of those Peppa Pigs and chocolate chip cookies. And then we can start the day with, what are we doing at 12? Are we doing a star clinic?
Yeah, we have got at 9:30, skincare Q&A on Facebook.
Skincare Q&A on Facebook, yep.
At 12 o'clock, we have got Trinny Talks How to Do Your Match to Me on Trinny London Instagram.
Fantastic.
And then at 6 o'clock on Trinny London Instagram, we've got Trinny's nighttime routine.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, well, ladies and boys, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. And if you're just beginning your day, I hope it goes well. Sending you love. Keep safe.